talking to Mike Galime, president of the Common Council City of Utica. You, by the way, will be performing along with Greeley and Rick Zaccaro and the group for the Billy Joel tribute that is going to be at the Stanley Boilermaker Weekend Saturday night
before the Boilermaker. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's what I wanted to kick off with. It was a great show last year.
You'll be playing the saxophone.
You're playing the saxophone. Ricky Z's Billy Joel tribute's playing, and last year was a phenomenal show. I hadn't been on the Stanley stage in a while.
I cannot wait to get him back in studio, and when he comes in, he just plays. I mean, when he plays, you think you're listening to Billy Joel.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the real business here.
Which of the 9,000 things that are going on would you like to talk about?
I know it is. Well, that's what we had said. We could do like a 24-hour marathon show and would not repeat subjects. So I want to hyper focus on Chief Brooks' story, the Chief Brooks story.
Okay.
Right now. What are your thoughts?
I do have some thoughts on that. I haven't. This is the first time I'm really publicly commenting on it.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about Chief Brooks for a minute. I met him when I was younger, setting up for my father's band holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, at the St. Peter's Church when he used to organize the bazaar. That's how I met him.
Yeah.
And he's just a great guy. I've known him since I was younger, and there've been many times that I've called him to bounce things off him just to hear how he bounces them back.
Yeah.
And I really just think that the whole situation is unfortunate. And, I mean, part of the reason I've been rather silent on it is I think that the most unfortunate situation out of all this is that he's become a political football. And for somebody that I respect and the community respects, and he is a community hero. Okay, no one can deny that. No one can take that away. This is just a ridiculous situation.
The mayor says it's not political.
When you're in politics, I think it's very difficult for anything not to be political.
Yeah.
I think some very factually based statements have been made on both sides. And at this point, it's like I just said, Chief Brooks has become a political football, and it's unfortunate.
I want to, if you could give advice to the mayor right now, what would you say to him? Because we're in waist deep now. It's no longer knee deep. We're in above the waist right now. I don't know how you turn back. What advice would you give him?
If I was in that position, not that I would have made that decision,
right?
But if I was in the position now, I would have to reassess what I had done up to this point, look at it like a decision that was made, and figure out what decisions I can make moving forward to repair the community, and really, hopefully, in the most professional way from this point on, bring this to a close.
Maybe behind closed doors resolution.
Well, and I think that's part of what's going on because a lot of this is legal now.
Yeah.
And that's, we had a pretty interesting council meeting last night. A lot of things were covered, even above and beyond Chief Brooks' situation. But most of the answers to all the questions anyone asks, including myself, because even though I haven't been public about it, I did ask many questions because it was a shock to everybody.
Right.
Everybody in anyone's circle in the community.
And the way that it was handled as well. I mean, who would want to see it go down like this?
But most of the answers are that this is now so tied up on both sides legally. I want to see everything go together properly because I don't want to say anything that would hurt his situation. Chief Brooks,
it is a match of urinary projection. Currently, and I do believe that the mayor's comment in the paper today. It's like, all right, if that's what he says, I'm going to give up my medical records on what happened to me during the snowstorm. I mean,
well, that I'd love to see.
You would like to see that.
I would really like to see the medical records on what happened during the snowstorm.
Have you talked about why he was out there?
We've discussed it, and to be perfectly honest, I haven't talked to the mayor about it personally.
Yeah.
Because, again, what I was told is it was some kind of comp claim or something to that effect. And, it's just... I think that obviously people's egos are getting in the way of things at this point.
All right.
Across the board.
Across the board.
I want to ask you, you said the council meeting last night. Monday, Joe Marino was in with the chief. He was saying he wanted answers and everything. Is there anything the council can do?
Not particularly. I did meet with, and we all did discuss this with our council, Judge Garamone, last night. And the reality is, the council can ask about process. They can ask for a report from the department heads, which we did from Bill Borrell. And he did answer as many questions as he could, but really all the council can do at this point is ask about the process leading up to, although I think the council can, and I think they have every right to, talk about the fact that something that got highlighted here is that the mayor is also acting as the public safety commissioner.
Yeah.
And that's a conflict that has now, that's one of the things that I feel should be in the spotlight.
Is there a possibility down the road? I mean, would the charter have to be changed? Could it be something passed by the Common Council that states the mayor cannot be a public safety commissioner?
Well, instead of looking at undoing more things, I think we should look at the fact that people want term limits extended. And clearly, obviously, if that passed, Mayor Paul Mary would have to run again. But the reality is, I think this is an example, this whole situation is an example of why we should assess the fact that term limits are a good thing right now.
Do you think there's any chance of the term limits issue? I mean, everybody knows this is coming. I mean,
at this point,
we're told it's not coming from the mayor. The mayor has nothing to do with it. He's excited that people have done this.
Whether or not it's coming from the mayor at this point, I think this whole controversy over the past week and a half has basically, brought that to the forefront. Okay, that's
no chance of that happening.
Well, anything can always happen, but I don't think it's happening now.
All right. Manaski, anything
else?
I
guess just to follow. So you're saying, you're not saying necessarily term limits couldn't be extended, but you're saying if they were, he wouldn't win.
That's not what I was saying. I'm hinting that.
You think the extension of term limits is dead because of this issue?
I think that people are going to have to think much more appropriately about it now. This isn't a matter of, everything's going great, let's move things forward, keep everything the same, this and that. That's a lot of the discussion surrounding it.
Yeah, sure.
Well, at this point, I think people can argue that maybe there are some long-term situations that do need to be cycled out of the system at this point.
The former mayor, Dave Rufaro, was in here and said that this is an example of unchecked power. Do you agree with that?
I did agree with a lot of the things that Mayor Rufaro said, but unchecked power, I don't want to go that far.
Yeah.
I think that
is there a team?
I want to discuss, I'd rather have the public discuss the fact that there's no public safety commissioner.
Yeah. Okay.
And really, this one person is left to consult with themselves when there's decisions like this. So
is the mayor getting bad advice right now
from himself? If he's the public safety commissioner,
well, okay,
because that's what I'm getting.
Well, he does have corporation counsel. Someone has to be advising him that he's. I think the one thing he said to me last night was, and I don't believe this was off the record when he said it, but he said that I have to protect this city from a lawsuit. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know if that means I can't talk to you, it would mean a lawsuit, or if that means by allowing the chief to continue in his capacity as fire chief that there would be a lawsuit.
I kind of look at corporation counsel in a different way. A lot of corporation counsel have seen many mayors. Mm-hmm. Okay. They've sat through many controversies, and I think the way I look at corporation counsel is they work for the mayor, they work for the administration like no other, and they don't control the decisions, but they do have the responsibility of protecting the lawful interests of the city of Utica when decisions are made by the mayor. So it's an
okay. Which could be very much different than I'm not sure that he's placed them. Maybe he has.
That's
now
my
placed
point.
them
I don't want to insinuate or even allow people to misconstrue what you said. Is the fact that the Corporation Council maybe advised this. I think this was a decision of the mayor, and now Corporation Council has a responsibility of the city. I
have to break, Mike Galime. I appreciate your honesty here this morning and your time.
I wasn't abstract, Bill.
You were not. You were on point.
I wasn't abstract.
I am so pleased. Good man.
I had to give you one.
Got a break at WIBX.